In the spring of 1971, a military crackdown in East Pakistan triggered a humanitarian crisis, sending over 90 lakh refugees fleeing across the Indian border. The influx created an immediate, unsustainable burden on the Indian government's budget and local demographics. While Prime Minister Indira Gandhi called for an immediate military response, her service chiefs insisted on a delay. To guarantee victory and minimize damage, they needed until December to prepare their forces for a full-scale campaign. That 6-month window left a dangerous opening, but Pakistan's geography offered a solution. Because Indian airspace was closed, all reinforcements and supplies moving from west to east had to take a massive maritime detour around the tip of India. The Indian Navy planned to exploit this single point of failure through Operation X, a deniable campaign of underwater sabotage designed to choke Pakistan's supply lines without the diplomatic fallout of a formal declaration of war. By utilizing a silent, invisible strike force, India could systematically weaken the Pakistani military's logistical backbone while the army waited for the winter frost to begin their ground offensive. Training began at a secret riverside camp codenamed C2P. There, Mukti Bahini guerrillas were taught the mechanics of magnetic limpet mines and the difficult art of navigating dark, silty harbors while swimming entirely underwater. On the night of August 15th, the activation signal for the attack was hidden in plain sight. 2 pre-decided songs played during a public radio broadcast, alerting every cell across the coast to begin their missions simultaneously. In the harbors of Chittagong and Mongla, divers slipped beneath the hulls of Pakistani merchant ships and fastened their magnetic charges. The resulting explosions destroyed thousands of tons of arms and ammunition, effectively paralyzing the supply route. The sudden, unexplained loss of their shipping fleet forced the Pakistani High Command into a defensive panic. To protect their remaining assets, they authorized a high-risk mission to hunt and destroy the carrier INS Vikrant. Pakistan deployed the PNS Ghazi, their only submarine with the range to reach the Bay of Bengal. The captain carried sealed orders to find and eliminate the Vikrant, an act that would have stripped India of its air superiority at sea. To find an invisible target, the Indian Navy began monitoring short HF bursts, brief, millisecond-long radio transmissions sent from the Ghazi to its headquarters in the west. To pinpoint its location, India flooded the frequency with electronic noise, forcing Ghazi to repeat messages and remain surfaced. Tracking these signals, officers intercepted a request from Chittagong for high-grade lubricant used exclusively in long-range submarines. Meanwhile, RAW agents in Karachi reported that local airfields were deploying forward defense batteries. Mobilization in the west, combined with the lubricant request in the east, confirmed the Ghazi was already on station, waiting for its target. By combining these radio signatures with supply chain monitoring and human intelligence, the Indian Navy stripped away the submarine's stealth. They knew the Ghazi was closing in. Now they had to dictate where it would strike. Vice Admiral Krishnan moved the INS Vikrant to a remote, uninhabited anchorage in the Andaman Islands known as Port X-Ray. Its clear waters and isolated position made it almost impossible for a submarine to approach undetected. To keep the Ghazi away from the actual carrier, the Navy created a paper trail. They placed massive public orders for fresh rations and vegetables at Visakhapatnam, signaling local informants that a crew of thousands was about to arrive. This was supported by deliberate, unencrypted radio chatter. Officers spoke openly about preparing a berth for the Vikrant at Visakhapatnam, ensuring any Pakistani listening post would relay the discovery to the Ghazi. To provide a physical target, the aging destroyer INS Rajput was sent to patrol the coast. Its crew was ordered to run their transmitters at maximum power, projecting the loud electronic signature of a much larger vessel. The strategy was a gamble, offering up a 1940s-era destroyer as bait. If the deception worked, the Ghazi would ignore the empty Bay of Bengal and steam directly into the teeth of the Indian Navy's coastal defenses. Falling for the decoy, the Ghazi arrived at Visakhapatnam on November 27. It maintained total radio silence, its crew unaware they were being led into a shallow water trap. The port's entrance was too shallow for the Ghazi to enter the inner harbor safely. Instead, the captain began laying a field of delayed action mines across the narrow shipping channel, hoping to catch the Vikrant as it tried to dock. While laying the second mine, the submarine spotted an incoming silhouette. To avoid a collision, the Ghazi initiated an aggressive high-speed dive. The vessel struck the seabed with such force that several metal components sheared off into the water. The impact did more than just pin the submarine to the floor. The violent jolt warped the internal torpedo tubes, misaligning the very weapons the crew relied on for defense. India's psychological campaign and the natural constraints of the harbor had worked together. Before the war even officially began, Pakistan's most dangerous naval asset was paralyzed and trapped in enemy waters. On the night of December 3rd, the INS Rajput detected sonar vibrations from the seabed. The captain didn't hesitate, dropping 2 heavy depth charges directly onto the source of the disturbance. The shockwave from the charges triggered a chain reaction. The Ghazi's own damaged torpedoes detonated inside their tubes, causing an internal explosion that sent metal debris and life jackets to the surface. When the war officially commenced on December 3rd, Pakistan's naval spearhead was already gone. The INS Vikrant was free to move into the Bay of Bengal without fear of an underwater strike. With the Ghazi destroyed, the carrier enforced an airtight naval blockade. This isolation directly contributed to the surrender of 93,000 Pakistani soldiers, the largest surrender of troops since the Second World War. The 1971 campaign demonstrated that a theater of war can be won before the first shot is fired. This victory was built on the silent weaponization of signals, the precision of underwater sabotage, and the mastery of strategic deception.
If you value clarity over chaos, explore more on Clear Lens X.